Welcome back to another edition of where we bring you only the finest vintage test gear from days gone by. Today we're looking at a classic. Oh, it is neoclassical, I must say. This has been a staple in the multimeter arena for many, many years. It's American-made, dated back 1982 is when Beckman Industrial came out with the HD 100, so it is really vintage. Beckman was really stressing the tough part of this meter, not only with its ABS fire retardant plastic enclosure, but input-wise, it could stand a lot. I believe it was up to 1,000 volts DC. So it was a tough meter. And something else is the color. Now, they didn't call it yellow. They called it NATO yellow. Oh, highly visible. Easy to spot in the toolbox or on the ledge before leaving a job. You didn't want to leave your Beckman behind. So part of the Beckman allure, luster, if you want, from the early 80s, when they sold the HD 100, it was sold as a portable, a first of its kind for a digital multimeter that could take the kind of punishment and abuse you would expect from a tool. The all-new rugged HD 100 from Beckman is made waterproof and dustproof to resist the elements. It can withstand physical impacts, accidental drops, you name it. Yeah, so they were really hyping this meter. Not only portable, but tough. I wonder what Fluke thought of all this. Side by side with the venerable Hewlett-Packard E237-8A, it is even bigger. Now, that HP is quite bulky, but look at the size of this Beckman. Oh, it almost dwarfs the HP. It is a very big meter. Weighed in at just over 1 pound as well. Now, the Beckman meter was designed for heavy use, industrial use, let's say, hence the name Beckman Industrial. So this was really a device, a test instrument that was made to go where others couldn't. And the size, the girth, the overall build quality was representative of the fact that the technician using this probably wasn't going to be doing it on his bench. As you can see, these were proudly made in the USA by Beckman Industrial Corporation. Nice to see. The kickstand on these was huge. Oh, look at that. Wow, super wide. Now a little bit on the thin side, but man, that is a long, thick tilt stand. And boy, the selector on here, it is so deep. The well is so deep, about 1/2 inch. So if you're wearing big, heavy industrial gloves, what have you, you would have absolutely no problem turning that selector switch. One of the segments in the display is missing, unfortunately. I'll take a look on the inside after, but these are definitely tricky to work on. You'll see what I mean. One thing that was really nice back in the day is, man, you could read those dials. Big, bold fonts. They weren't trying to hide anything. Very easy on the eyes. And that pointer, look at how long that pointer is. You definitely knew whether or not you're on the range. Overall, simple, but very effective design. Even after all these years, the Beckman Industrial can pull resistance. Look at that 100 ohm resistor, precision, 100 ohms spot on. Going in for a closer look, you can see just how much things have changed in the world of multimeters. Check it out. We have a dual board set up here, a data board with the main board, and we'll take a closer look at that in just a second. But check out the LCD. Yes, that is the LCD display right there, not an elastomer. It's a very unusual and very, let me stress, fragile mechanism for getting that liquid crystal activity going. These are really easy to break. You got to be so careful when you're working on these old meters. It sports the proudly made in USA. Very hard to see, but it's right down there. And sure is nice to see on those older multimeters. Also, on the circumference of the meter, you can see we have this nice rubber inlay that encompasses the entire circumference for that added dust and waterproofing. So nice to see what they were doing back in the day. Powered by a 9-volt battery. And we're going to take a look under that main board in just a second. But yeah, wow, some gorgeous old tech. Lest we forget that WaveTech acquired Beckman Industrial and all of its DMM models. So it's very interesting to see the evolution of these older meters as time went by. So now let's take off that top part of the board, and wow, oh wow, do things ever get interesting. So let's take a look at the upper part of the housing first of all, and look at that. Those are actually, I guess we'll call those leaves. They're kind of ductile, and they kind of have a little bit of springiness to them as well. Yeah, so basically, these groups of thin metal leaves are just, I don't know, SPST switches. They're activated by different protrusions on that big rotating disc here. So by those protrusions, I mean these little bits coming up. So that's how it's selecting the different ranges. Truly unique, something we definitely don't see anymore. Wow. So there you are in all of its glory. And there's our current fuse as well. It's soldered right there on the vertical, right in between those test lead inputs. So, and something else that's really unique with Beckman is the fact that, like, let's say the earlier Fluke designs, which were usually based on the ICL 7106 design, Beckman really did something different. You know, they have their own 27100 chip, and yeah, functionality wise, it was very, very much the same. But it offered a few more things, like a built-in AC converter, and, you know, I don't know. These older Beckmans just were very unique pieces of American tech. Look at that, Beckman. All of these chips sporting the Beckman name, so they really, really did everything in-house. And yeah, if you have to take that fuse out, look at that. Kind of reminds me of the Radio Shack style, isn't it? Just that cloth little pull here, and you can pull out that fuse, replace it, easy breezy. Oh man, if that doesn't scream vintage. And on the reverse side, nice big plastic housing. The shielding was embedded here underneath, so when you take off that other portion of the main board, all of the shielding is there. So nice attention to detail. You know, shielding back in the day was, you know, not a luxury. It was just something they put on most test instruments that were produced. Beckman Industrial HD100. Meter designed inside and out in the good old US of A. Boy, that attention to detail is impressive. Hope you enjoyed this little trip down vintage memory lane. You, me, and the Beckman Industrial HD100.